Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everybody, Zach here, and I'm here today to do a video that's a little bit different. This is a first look / should I buy The Division, and in this video I'm going to try to nail down the type of people that would enjoy The Division as a game, and should you spend your money on it right now as it is. So I've sunk a couple hours into it. This is in no way a full review of the game, but I figured I would touch base on a few things that I enjoy about the game and tell you if it's worth your money and not in its current state. Alright, first things first, gameplay. And I feel like the gameplay in The Division, and I'm not paid to say any of this by the way, Ubisoft, you can gladly sponsor one of my videos, but this is not sponsored in any way. But I felt like the gameplay was very well balanced I've played about 9 or 10 hours now. But I really felt that the gameplay was really well balanced. It's primarily a third-person cover-based shooter, and the cover mechanic is really well done, which it should be. That's kind of what they're basing their gunfight on and a lot of the gameplay on. And it is really, in my opinion, really good. The ability to move from spot to spot by just holding down A and just kind of traversing it, it kind of, does its own thing, but then you can focus on gunfight and what have you, and that's really good. The other aspect is the role-playing aspect, and what I mean by that is in terms of there's a lot of loot to find and to add to your collection. There's a lot of the ability to mod your weapons, change your clothing, and a couple other different things, as well as you're going to want to make sure that you're stocked on medkits and you're stocked on a couple other things that help you during actual gameplay. And what I mean by actual gameplay is separate from you have a actual mother base or home base, whatever you want to call it. And there you have to find other things, but we'll get to that shortly. But yeah, it's a really, in my opinion, a really good balance of both of those elements, the RPG-esque stuff with loot and also to the balance of the gunfight. Now, the one thing I can say, gameplay-wise, and this kind of goes to that aspect, I don't really feel extremely in the story. So I will say that don't buy this game if you're looking for a really deep story. I mean, there might be one there, but it's harder to find, and the cutscenes are not as... what's the best way to put it? Like in comparison to Watch Dogs, it's not as cutscene based, or even Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto 5 uses a lot of cutscenes and uses a lot of storytelling, and this is a little bit more hands-off in that aspect. And it's not a bad thing necessarily. I know that sounds weird, but you get a lot of storytelling from the game in just by walking around and experiencing the city and experiencing conversations you hear and what have you. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of odd because I don't know, it doesn't make you feel as closely tied to the people in this game. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there, but other than that, it's not too bad. Alright, so another big thing for people is graphics. If you're going to be playing a game that, in my opinion, has good gameplay, the graphics have to be there too. So these are not, in my opinion, the same graphics that we saw at E3 a little bit ago, but that happens, and that definitely happens with Ubisoft usually. Watch Dogs was a very big example of that, where we saw completely different graphics, and there were people that even went into the PC code of Watch Dogs and re-enabled it to look like it's E3 kind of what they showed off, which that's kind of unexcusable for me, but this I feel is way better looking than I would have expected, and there's a lot of different ways, from graphical glitches that have plagued Ubisoft games in the past. This one doesn't have them, or any that I've really seen that I've really taken notice of and have been game breaking. So that is very good. The city is fully fleshed out. There's so much detail in a lot of it that it's just very impressive. You have, and that's hard to be impressed by, after an outbreak has happened, and there's a lot of video games that have this down, and you're just not usually impressed. But I'm impressed by the detail that's in all of the cars, in all of the buildings, in the people even. And that kind of can segue me into sound design. the sound design really sells you too on a lot of the world, other than when you're walking by people and you don't even have your gun like pointed at them and they're like, oh, hey, watch where you're pointing at, or hey, I'm not a bad guy. It's like, okay, well, so somebody coded that in somewhere where they're supposed to say something, and it's kind of like, eh. But other than that, the sound design is really, really good. It really is immersive, and there's a lot of noises just, even if it's gunshots at a distance, you hear it and you can know, like, you just know that there's people off there, and there are people out there. The noises are usually associated with what they are supposed to be. I know that sounds stupid, but they're not just noises to be there in the background to make you think you're in, or you're hearing something. Or if there's a dog barking off in the distance, you're going to walk through there and there's going to be a dog there. So I'm glad that the sound design is good, but it's also true to what you're experiencing. And in my opinion, that's very good, definitely considering Ubisoft's known for their fluff, and they just didn't seem to fluff it there. All right, now to cover the online aspect. So essentially everything is instanced, and what that means is there's certain areas and zones that you go into that are actually instances, and they have other players in them, and there's common social areas and what have you. But then a lot of the rest of the game, you can play yourself without other people, or you can jump into parties with other people and play along with them. So the matchmaking is actually pretty good too. It doesn't take long to find a party, and then you can kind of join when they're already in. So they they hit matchmaking and they already start the mission, and they wait for people to kind of just drop in, and it's very smooth. It just literally is a drop in, not wait for people to join, wait then when people are joining, all that stuff. So it's actually a very good system. Definitely when, in comparison, me and Bugs tried to play Watch Dogs online back in the day, and it was just, it was not fun. And the online instancing was not good. Everything seems to be synced very well across multiple connections, as well as then when you're done playing with somebody, then you can just, if you want to, you can stay around with them, and then they're still instanced in your lobby, and you can go do other things in the open world with them, or you can leave that party and kind of do your own thing. So I'm very surprised how stable online has been, as well as how well everything is instanced together. It's just very well balanced. It feels very polished, and that, I don't know, it shouldn't be surprising, but Ubisoft's known for in the past, their launches have not been known to do great, and having internet, pretty much having to be connected to the internet for this game, there's a lot of games that don't do that well, and this felt actually very well. So should you buy it? At $60, it's hard to go and say, well, yes, you should buy it. If you like those elements, if you like the graphics that you've kind of seen, the gameplay that you've seen today, and maybe if I do some gameplay videos with other members of Code Zero, then buy it. I mean, it's not, I think you are going to get your money's worth with this game if you play it for even 10, 20 hours. Because it seems like a game that's going to give a lot more than that too. There are a lot of side missions, and there are a lot of main storyline quests to complete. And I will say that too, you feel, even though I said earlier you don't feel connected to these people in the story, you do feel a sense of accomplishment when you upgrade your base and you do things that are to support the cause and everything. And I don't know, that in general, that's good. It works well. It's hard because I can't compare this directly to a lot of games because it has a couple different elements. And is it perfect in every one of those elements? Not necessarily, but to add it up in a whole, it feels like a very, very good polished game. And it might be one of those games that if it's something that you're like, well, based on what I saw, it's not really my kind of game. Well, then wait until it is half price on a Steam sale or from Uplay or what have you, and then check it out then. It's definitely something that I wasn't expecting to be as good as it is, definitely because I look at everything from Ubisoft with such a critical eye, and I almost implore more people to do that because that makes sure that we get better games, and Ubisoft they're finally getting their act together in some ways. I'm not saying they're perfect, but in some ways they're finally getting their act together and learning what people want and then kind of delivering. So I'm not really going to rate this on a number scale or anything. In my opinion, I recommend it to people that enjoy shooters like this and want to have a new experience, even though post-apocalyptic, all that stuff isn't very new. I feel like they really nail what they were going for, essentially. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. Hopefully, if you pick it up, you'll enjoy it too. Let me know in the comment section if you want to see gameplay of it in a general gameplay fashion from me and the other members of Code Zero. And that's, I think, it for today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.